Standing abandoned by the Oka River in far-off eastern Russia is a revolutionary electricity pylon. This amazing tower is the result of a building technique devised 120 years ago, which today can be seen in some of the world's greatest structures. It's a unique combination of art and architecture. This is the Shukhov Tower.
The Shukhov Tower is very striking. You look at it and you're not entirely sure why, but you know there's something different about it.
It's almost mind-bending looking at that thing, you know. And you've got to think, well, it looks like there's all this curving steel and all stuff like that, and you've got to remember, well, no, every piece in there is straight.
It's a work of art. It's a work of engineering. It's a work of maths.
Tatiana Vinogradova has spent a lifetime studying the work of its designer, a man who pushed the boundaries of mathematics and engineering. His name was Vladimir Grigorovich Shukhov.
Вы знаете, самое интересное в том, вот я вообще сама думаю о Шухове очень много, да? Может быть, это наивно, но у каждого из нас два полушария. Одно ответственно за образность, а другое за аналитику, за математику. У кого-то лучше работает одно полушарие, у кого-то лучше работает второе. Так вот, у Шухова блестяще работали два полушария. Эта башня работала. Она строилась не просто как памятник, гиперболоидная башня, а она несла свою функцию. Это опора, линия электропередачи. Вот здесь, на том месте, где мы с вами стоим, здесь шла линия на ту сторону. Вы знаете, для того, чтобы провода шли на ту сторону, да, нужно было поставить целый каскад башен. Была не одна башня, а 8.
I think the Shukhov design is very pioneering because a lot of these masts were there to be practical, and we just needed to get the height, and we wanted to do it with as little steel as possible and just get up there. But I think Shukhov thought a little bit deeper about the problem. He thought about how we could actually make it look beautiful, how it could be mathematically very precise, and he came up with what I think is a very, very beautiful and unusual structure.
The Shukhov Tower was one of 8 built in 1927 to carry power lines across the Oka River to vital Soviet industries in the city of Nizhny Novgorod. It was one of 2 420 feet high towers standing on the north bank. But could Shukhov's revolutionary design cope with the weight of the cables and the effect of winds blasting across open country?
He must have had to do so many calculations to work out whether this thing was feasible. And he kept it in that simple, elegant, beautiful design. Almost transparent nature, right? All those beams are very, very thin. That you can imagine wind being able to pass through it without causing that much of an issue. So in a way, it's very efficient, if complicated design, perhaps.
Any engineer designing a tower that's going to be hundreds of meters up in the air needs to consider the effect of wind. That wind is going to be striking it, even if you can't feel anything on the ground. Up there, there's going to be forces acting against your tower, effectively trying to bring the thing down. If you look at an example like the Eiffel Tower, you can take a look at that and say, it's quite a squat structure. It's got a wide base, and it kind of tapers in towards the top. That looks pretty solid. Shukhov's towers don't have that. They're much more graceful, yet somehow, using his mathematical mind and putting that into practice, he's created towers that have that grace and elegance, but still do the job.
Shukhov even devised a remarkable new way of constructing his towers.
I think the way they built the Shukhov Tower is actually quite clever. You could have put the different segments next to the base and then lifted it in on top. What they did was to work in the same direction, so all they had to do was lift it up upwards rather than upwards and sideways. So I think it actually probably made the whole operation a bit simpler.
Shukhov became world leader in 1896 when he devised a water tower with a lightweight but extremely strong grid structure known as a hyperboloid design. This involved using straight beams mounted on a circular base. Every beam was slanted sideways and inwards at a precisely calculated angle to create a gradually narrowing tower.
It's got a curved profile, it has a curved shape to it, yet all the members and the constituents of it are long and straight.
How do you work out how strong this structure is going to be, how resilient it's going to be to wind and all these sorts of things? It's almost boggling how he was able to come up with it. So different from anything else that's come since.
Расчетов этих конструкций до него не было. То есть он сам придумывал методы расчета, он сам давал расчеты, и вместе с тем работала его блестящая интуиция. Он чувствовал, как конструкция себя будет вести.
Though Shukhov had also used his system to create lightweight building frames, it was his tower design which immediately caught on. Over the next 20 years, he built nearly 200 of them. Next, Shukhov planned to construct a monumental 1,100 feet radio tower in Moscow. But Russia was in the grip of a revolution, so not enough steel was available, and it had to be limited to just over 500 feet. Completed in 1922 and named the Shabalovka Tower, it was the first major construction project of the new Soviet Union and established Shukhov's reputation as a brilliant structural engineer. But would his giant tower have worked?
Not only would Shukhov's tower have dwarfed the Eiffel Tower, it would have been 3 American football fields tall. Imagine that.
I believe Shukhov could have done it. I think he could have got up to 300 meters because his structure was so incredibly elegant, so incredibly light, and so perfectly oriented with all the different steel beams coming in to create stability that I believe he would have done it.
Shukhov built no more towers, but his genius inspired other engineers to copy his revolutionary design. The Hearst Tower in New York and King's Cross Station in London are just 2 famous buildings which were inspired by his use of the diagrid hyperboloid. Shukhov's name may be unknown to most people today, but his legacy will live on.